Morning. Welcome to the Saturday morning ritual. How are you guys doing today? We're talking about bad habits today, bad habits. So, as we get settled in here and we welcome everybody, how about you tell me what is your, tell me where you're calling. Say hi in the chat. Where are you from? Confess. What is a habit that you have that you might consider as a bad habit? Let us know because today we are getting ready to play and win at the habit game. We're going to talk all about strategies to overcome bad habits. I hope you guys are excited for today to talk about bad habits. So let's get this show a rolling. If I was only just a little bit on time. So much more than who we are. So much more than who we are. We can knee deep in while the world just falls apart. At the rise above it all. We can. Yay! How excellent is that? Hello. Oh my gosh. So excellent. So I have to clean my glasses because I was running short on time. One of my bad, Miss Cheryl, cute. One of the bad habits is I can easily talk myself out of anything. I feel you there. That is, I'm very skilled at talking myself out of exercise or eating the food that I plan to eat. I'm good at those habits for sure. Definitely. Okay, I think my glasses are clean and I can see my notes now. Huge bonus when you can see your notes, right? Right? Okay, so we're going to win at the weight loss game. So there's a little ticker thing that's going down across the bottom of the screen. So if you would like to go to my website, adventuresofdeanna.com, under the downloads, you can download this week's journal prompts that kind of go along with what we're going to be talking about. You can print it out or whatever. I'm going to try and make it a habit to always have those available. I'm going to try the night before, but always like an hour before the live stream so that you can get those and be prepared. You can also, like download them to an iPad or something like that, and then just like type on them. There's all kinds of methods, or you can just follow along and just write on a regular piece of paper or in whatever journal of the choice you have. You can, just kind of follow along. Whatever you want to do, just some handy dandy ideas for you there. So it's the Saturday morning ritual. When I was a kid, my Saturday morning ritual was watching cartoons. And now my Saturday morning ritual is to take time for me. This started back in like 2019 when I started the No BS weight loss program. And it was a time to reflect on the past week and to prepare for the week ahead. And that ritual has kind of stuck with me. And a great reason to attend the Saturday morning ritual, what you're doing right now, is because two heads are better than one. You've heard that before, haven't you? That's why we join together as a community to support our intentional growth, because two heads are better than one. Our friends can help us out. It's a place where you can celebrate your success, grow from challenges that you're facing. It keeps you accountable and committed to your goals, and you can feel supported along the way. You can hone your self-awareness and your adventure mindsets, all about having fun adventures, overcome obstacles and challenges that keep you from reaching your potential. So before we get into all of that, we have to follow. It's a ritual. So there's things that we do every single week. We do the brain body connection. So we're going to get up and we're going to move for just a couple minutes just to get everything flowing, because I believe that, it just helps your brain function better. We're going to talk about our successes. We're going to talk about our setbacks that maybe we have had. And then we're going to talk about the top of the week and follow that all up with planning for the week ahead. And maybe some of the things we talk about today we can implement for the upcoming week. Excited? Are you excited? I know you're excited. Everybody's so excited. Just ready to go. So let's do the brain body connection. We are going to just get up and move our bodies for a minute. Move in whatever way feels good to you. Just get the body moving. Well, hello. Welcome. We're talking about winning bad habits today. It's all about bad habits. I know that bad habits have come up in recent conversations with a few different people over here, over there. So I'm just following along with the trend, and I thought I would talk about bad habits today. So before we get to that, you joined us just in time. Everybody, oh, by the way, you have to comment who you are, where you're from, and confess a habit that you may or may not categorize as bad. That's the thing for today. We're going to get up. We're going to move our bodies for a minute. So we'll be back in just a second. Move.
Come on, let yourself be free. Be the best that you can be. Come move your body. Come move your body. Only settle for the best. Live your life with no regrets. Come move your body. Come move your body. There's no fire when I smoke. I ain't letting you go. I can see you buzzing like you can't say no. There's no fire when I smoke. I ain't letting you go. Come on, let yourself be free. Be the best that you can be. Come move your body. Come move your body. Only settle for the best. Live your life with no regrets. Come move your body. Come move your body. Come on, let yourself be free. Be the best that you can be. Come move your body. Come move your body. Only settle for the best. Live your life with no regrets. Come move your body. Come move your body.
My body is sore today, so I had to a little bit during our fun little moving session there. And did you see what happened? It was so important. I forgot my Fitbit. I don't have my Fitbit on. None of those steps counted. It's good that it was only a couple of steps because that's sad. That is quite sad that I missed my Fitbit. I don't have it, and I'm going to be pouty faced because of it. So I hope that felt good just to get up and move your body for just a second. I think it just is so beneficial. So beneficial. Hello, Will and Misty. Just in case I didn't say hello, I just want to make sure that you feel welcomed because I want you to feel like you belong. I want you to feel supported and safe. Oh, and all the wonderful things. So let's talk about this past week. Let's think about it for a minute. What victories did you have this past week that you would like to share with the group? What victories do you have? Everybody has a victory. I think that we often overlook the very small victories that we have. I know that we all have a victory to share. Good morning, Mercy. Welcome. We're talking about bad habits today. So if you'd like, please share with us one of your habits that you have that you might consider a bad habit. Let us know. So we're talking about victories right now. Share with us your victories too. Tell me, what victories did you have this week? I had a great victory with my sleep this week. I have been struggling to get back to my regular sleep, it's like I go to bed at the same time, I get up at the same time, like as far as going to bed, but the actual sleep that I'm getting while I'm there has been really, really kind of really low. And this week it finally got back up into something closer to what my normal sleep is. So my normal sleep would be about 7.5 hours on a good night, and I was only getting like 5 hours of sleep for whatever reason. I don't know what was going on. Nothing had changed other than mental things, but my environment, nothing had changed there. So getting back into that regular sleep schedule is going to be so good, so good. Will had an awesome victory. Better eating habits. That is always a win when we can upgrade our eating. Feels good, tastes good. With the change of seasons coming, it's a great time to refresh your meals. I know that it feels good with the change of seasons. It just does. And we can start doing that now. So maybe you live in a climate where your clothes, you can't really change those out into springtime clothes yet. But is there some way you can start incorporating more springy time foods into your diet? Sometimes, we just need a refresher. So that's awesome. Wow, great. Not binge eating this week, 2 days in a row. The urge was very, very bad, but you resisted the urge. So excellent. That's huge, 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 huge. Excellent. Excellent. So think about your victory and what habits led to that victory. What habits do you have in place or that you've been practicing or trying to incorporate that led to that victory? Let's take a minute and just think about it. And I want you to kind of like brainstorm some ideas for a minute. And then we're going to come back and then we can share them again and we'll talk about it for a brief second. But we're just going to do the little journaling thing and then talk about them when we get back. So go ahead and start doing that. All right. So, what habits do you think helped to contribute to your victories this week? So, Will had better eating habits. Are there any habits that kind of helped with that? Cheryl didn't binge eat for this week. So, are there any habits that you have in place that assisted with that? For me, I slept better. That was my big victory of the week. And the habits that I have in place that helped with that is I continued with my evening time routine. So I have an evening time routine at a set time. I go to bed. I wash my face, brush my teeth, floss, settle into bed. Hey, Ron, welcome. Hello. We're talking about bad habits today. If you want to share your bad habits with us, please do. So I go through that whole evening routine and then I settle down into bed, always at the same time. And then I always get up at the same time. I do this 7 days a week. It is not something that's like that changes throughout the week. It's always the same so that it's routine and habitual, and my body knows, it signals. It tells my body, okay, it's time to go to sleep. And by continuing with that practice, with that ritual, it helped out greatly. Also, my habit of trying to reduce my stress. So, as I shared in one of my videos last week that I did, I'm doing the tapping to help calm me with my stress. I'm also, going on walks out in nature and a lot of things. That's a bad habit. It's a bad habit to buy smaller clothes, or is that your victory? Oh, that's how the recovery is coming along. Sorry, just trying to catch up. I'm sorry. So those are some of my habits that led to my victory. Our habits play a big role in our lifestyle, in the way that we do things, in our success and as in our setbacks. So it's important to recognize which habits are assisting you. And it's also important to acknowledge and recognize which habits are getting in the way of your weight loss success, or even your weight maintenance success, because at some point in time, we're all going to be in maintenance. So we need victory buying clothes I never fit into. So let's take a minute and let's talk about our setbacks this week. Did anybody have any setbacks that they would like to share with us? Any setbacks that you would like to share with us? Let me know. So once again, we are going to take 2 minutes to write down, to ponder, to think about what were my setbacks this week. And then the follow-up question to that is going to be, what habits do you have that go hand in hand with that setback? So it's like right here, what setbacks do I have, and what has to do that contribute? What habits do I have that contributed? So think about that for a minute. We'll be back in just a second. Have fun. Here we go.
See it in your mind, trust that. Have what it takes inside, 'cause you can make it too. If not says who, you can make it too. If not says who, you can make it. You had great patience, but something knocked you out. You felt your limitations and filled your mind with doubt. You wanna stay chill right now, and don't let your eyes off the prize. I know you want it to be easy, so let your guard down. And I said, see it in your mind, trust that. Have what it takes inside, 'cause you can make it too. If not says who, yeah, you can make it too. If not says who, you can make it.
So I'm trying to think about my week. And what my big setback of the week was. And I think I get sidetracked all the time. So that's my bad habit, as I get sidetracked all the time. Oh, wow. In 6 weeks. Oh, that had to feel good to finally get out and socialize. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Bill. So I get sidetracked, and I didn't get my weekly review done yet for this week, but I know that one of my setbacks, I will say that I had this week, whenever I go back and I look at my habit tracker, is going to be that I didn't journal on Thursday. I know that because I got busy with work. So that would be one of my huge setbacks that I had this week. And that ties into my habits. So I have a habit of when I go and do my morning journal and whenever I go and do my nighttime journal. And Thursday got switched up so that, and we're going to get into this in just a second, my cue to do my journaling was interrupted, and that led me to not journaling. So it all ties into our habits. It all ties together. It's amazing. 2 miles of mall walking yesterday. Yay for you. That is so good. Did it hurt after, or did you feel pretty good afterwards? How did you feel? It's hard work, but it's so worth it, But I think that's one of the things that we all, are recovering from injury. It's hard to be so patient with yourself and kind and loving and compassionate. You felt nervous, but you were okay. See? That's great. And huge victory. You felt nervous, but you did it anyway. That is something to applaud yourself for, because a lot of times we feel nervous, so we don't do something, but you did it anyway. So that's huge. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So that was my bad habit, and that was how it kind of contributed to how my week went, was missing journaling. Whenever I miss journaling, it can sometimes set off a domino effect of missing other things. For instance, if I don't get my water in, that can set off a domino effect of eating additional food at meals that I normally would. Also, choosing different foods could set off, if I'm choosing more convenience foods and fast foods, then that can set off a domino effect of not wanting to exercise. Whenever I track all of these things, I can see the correlation between them. That's why I'm such a fan of tracking, and not just tracking like food or calories or anything like that. I track my mood. I track what I was doing. I track who I was with, how I felt about being around them. I track so much information because it's all interconnected. It's not just all just in its own little compartment. It's all connected. So I track all sorts of things. I like to, go through my day and see, what was that? And whenever you track everything, you can zoom out and you can see where there are these habits that come up. So I'm sure that you guys by now have heard of the habit loop, what a habit loop is. Let me know. Do you guys know what a habit loop is? James Clear talks about it in Atomic Habits. BJ Fogg talks about it in Tiny Habits. There's so many other resources out there that talk about our habits, but in the simplest idea of habits, there's a cue, there's a routine, and then there's a reward. So for instance, today, or hopefully every Saturday, it's 9 a.m. or whatever time it is that it always comes on in your time zone. But for me, I'm in Central, so it's 9. It's 9 o'clock. It's time to be on YouTube. It's time for my live stream. That's the routine, is I do the live stream for you. It might be watching the live stream. And then your reward is, what's your favorite part? Do you get to talk with friends? Do you get to be a supportive person? Do you get to maybe learn something? Whatever your favorite, whatever your reward is, you feel good for attending. That's your reward. Your reward. So bad habits are the same exact way. There's a cue, there's a routine, and then you get something out of it. There's a reward. So there was, and some I still struggle with this occasionally. It's not as bad as it used to be, but I had a bad habit of always saying, whatever it is that you want for dinner, that's fine with me. Whatever you want for dinner, that's fine with me. So the cue was, what do you want for dinner? Whatever. And then my habit would be to say, whatever you want for dinner is fine with me. And my reward was, I didn't have to have the conversation about dinner. I didn't have to say, oh, but I didn't have to have a conversation with somebody else saying, but I don't want that. I didn't have to hear any rebuttals. There was just no confrontation, which I'm not a fan of confrontation. I try to avoid confrontation as much as possible. But if I want to be a healthier person, if I want to lose weight, if I want to do that, whenever my spouse, my partner, he doesn't need to lose any weight. He doesn't have any issues. He can eat whatever he wants. But I can't necessarily eat whatever he can eat. So I'm going to have that confrontation about dinner if I want to become a healthier person. That's a difficult thing. It's like, it's harder for me than it is, that's my issue in my head. But I had to have the conversation in order to. So it was difficult. I wanted to avoid that at all costs. So that was the cue. And it was a bad habit. It was a bad habit that I had. So to break that bad habit, we're going to get into that in a second. But before we do, what bad habit do you have that you're looking to break? Who has a bad habit that they want to get rid of? Anybody want to share the bad habit that they really, really want to break? Really want to break? Anybody? There are all sorts of habits that we might want to break. We might want to stop yelling at our kids. We might want to stop the habit of scrolling too long on social media. We might want to break the habit of always cleaning our plate at meals. Yep. I say yes, really want to break this. It's so hard. Like, do you want dessert? Okay, sure. All the time. All the time. Sure, I'll have dessert. Yep, me too. Count me in, And it's just the cue is just that one simple statement. So there's all kinds of habits that we may or may not need to break. A habit you might have is anytime you get in your car, you feel yourself wanting to go to the quick shop, the Quickie Mart, the whatever, the convenience store to get something, or to go through a drive-through. It might be a habit every single time you get in the car. You might have a habit of anytime you go on a road trip, you have to have road trip snacks, and you want to break that habit because you're not really hungry. You're just eating because you're driving in the car. You might have a bad habit of not going to bed on time. You might have all kinds of bad habits. All kinds of bad habits. So the first thing that you can do in order to break a bad habit is get rid of the cue. Now, in the event of my husband asking me if I want dessert, for instance, horrible snacky driver, haha, called you out. Called you out. So, why did I just totally lose my brain? with my husband who asks, do you want to have dessert? I can, totally get rid of it. I can remove it. Well, can I stop him? I can say, husband, can you please stop asking me if I want dessert? But it's a habit of him to be polite, to be kind, to be loving. It's a habit of his to ask me if I want something because that's what a nice person would do. So if he doesn't stop doing that, I could just ignore the fact that he does that. I could ignore it. So you can't really remove that there's, quick shops on there. You can't, or that there's, places to stop and get snacks on the side of the road. You can't really remove that. You can ignore them. You can avoid them. So maybe if your habit is to go to Starbucks every morning and you want to eliminate your Starbucks habit, you can go a different route that you don't see it. Because if you don't see it, you're not as triggered to go to the Starbucks. So you can avoid it by taking a different route, or you can just ignore it. But then there are also other ways. There are other ways that we can mess with the cue. So you can just change your ability to participate in that habit. So if it's something that's really easy to do and convenient, maybe you want to make it a little bit more difficult. So you can make it be something that's going to take more time than what it would normally take to do. Increase the time that it would take in order to participate in that habit. So for instance, if you scroll on your social media too much, you can password protect that thing so that it is hard to get in and you got to type in like 30 characters. None of that remember my password stuff. None of that Face ID and it just opens up. None of those shortcut things. You make it harder. You make it more difficult so that, oh my God, I have to type in so much and then I keep typing in the wrong thing and blah, blah, blah. It's more difficult. Make it more difficult. Make it take more time than what it is. And then sometimes you're like, it's not worth the amount of time that you have to spend. Chew on the ice. See, now we're going to talk about that. That's the replacement. Replacing a habit with another habit, which is a very good strategy for changing your bad habits. You just replace them with a better habit. It's one of the most successful ways to change a habit is to make a swap. Swapping is so awesome. Swapping. So another way is money. How many people are money motivated out there? Money. You can make it cost more. Maybe you redo your budget and you think about something that you really, really want. It's just something that you really, really want. And you put all that money that you've been spending on that bad habit, you put it into that bucket for what it is that you really, really want. And you've gotten, so anytime that you participate in that habit, you're kind of taking away from what you want. So when you're using this strategy, it's just always good, you can always stop and pause and ask yourself, do I sacrifice what I want right now for what I want most? Is it worth the sacrifice? Do I sacrifice what I want most for what I want right now? Is it worth it? Especially with money things. Whenever you're, good with money and you budget and you got to stick to it, things like that. Another way to change your ability is to change the physical effort that it takes. So if you kept all your snacks in a safe in the basement, so that in order to go and get a snack, you had to go down into the basement, into the safe, put in the code to get the snack, do you think that would reduce your snacking at all? Do you think that would reduce your snacking at all? Or do you think sometimes you just get busy doing something else and forget about the snack? What do you think would happen if you were to increase your physical effort? What if you didn't even have the snacks? And in order to have that snack, you had to completely leave the house and go get it. Can't even get it at home. It's something that you're always going to physically have to go out and get. You can also change the mental effort that it takes in order to participate in that habit. And then another thing that you can do is you can replace it with something that's like more important altogether. So the cue doesn't even happen. So that the cue doesn't even happen. Replace it with something that's really, really, really important to you. So those are just a few ways that we can do this. So I like to, one of the ways that I have been working on this is by reducing stress. Whenever I am feeling more calm, when I feel more just not stressed out, when I don't feel all anxious, I don't get a lot of the prompts that I would have because I am like a nervous eater. I like to eat whenever I'm nervous or scared or things like that. By reducing my stress, by reducing my anxiety, I don't get those cues to have those snacks anymore. They don't even come up. I just don't even think about it. I don't even think about it at all. Whenever I'm busy, another way is having great alternatives. I have so many fun projects that I'm working on. I have so much exciting stuff that I've got going on that I've replaced it. I have these great alternatives that I don't get bored and do the boredom eating. How many people boredom eaters? Boredom eaters. I used to eat out of boredom all the time. My plate is full. I'm learning all these dances. I'm learning, I'm increasing my sewing skills. I'm learning paper mache. I'm doing all this YouTube stuff. I don't have time for boredom eating anymore because I'm never bored. I don't have a second for boredom eating. And I just found that whenever I fill my life up with all these fun and exciting adventures in my life, it's just not important anymore. I eat whenever I get really hungry. And that's it. So we can change. We can change our ability. We can also change our motivation to participate in the habit. That's kind of what I was talking about. I'm not as motivated to do it because I'm just not as motivated because I've got better things to do. I'm not as stressed out. So some other options that we can do to get rid of some bad habits is we can swap the habit out with something else. So if you used to every single day go to McDonald's and get whatever, you can just swap that out. So you can still get fast food. You just swap it out with a food that is more in line with what your diet than what you were getting. You're not changing the fact that you're going to a drive-through. You're not changing the food that you're getting convenience food. You're just swapping it out for something a little bit healthier. And that can apply in so many different ways. Say you're drinking, you want to reduce how much alcohol you drink. You just think that it's a bad habit. You drink too much. Maybe you don't want to completely get rid of it, but you want to swap it in a limited amount. So you're like, okay, I can still have an alcoholic beverage, but I can have two. Limited it to two. Limited to two. And this might be a work in progress. Sometimes we might say, I'm going to limit it to three, but we find that three, when I have three, it's so much easier to say yes to number four. But if I have two, then it's, I'm still not to that place where I forget about my hopes and my dreams and my wishes and my wants. So you have to play around with what your sweet spot is whenever you're doing things in a limited amount. So for some people out there, they, everybody's different. They might not be able to say, get one of those like little things of ice cream. And their habit has always been to eat the whole thing in one sitting. That's one serving to them. They might not be able to at all say, I'm only going to eat half of this container instead of the whole container. So they might have to just completely remove the container. But for other people, it's not that hard for them to say, oh, well, I can swap the habit of eating the whole container for swapping it for eating just half the container. All kinds of habits that we can. The thing with habits, though, is if you want to say something like, I want to eat less junk food, that's really, really a broad category. There's so much involved with eating less junk food, because whenever I think about eating less junk food, well, I could eat Pop-Tarts for breakfast, and then I could have some peanut butter crackers for a mid-morning snack. And then for lunch, I could have some sweet tarts and some potato chips and whatever. And then I can have an afternoon snack that's also junk food. And then at dinner time, I can also have some junk food there, and then dessert, and it goes on and on. I can eat junk food all day long. Whenever you say, I just want to reduce how much junk food I eat, make it simple and small. We want to start by small. By making small changes consistently over time, that's the easiest way to change. Easy, small changes. So let's just simmer down. Let's pick one. I want to stop eating sweet tarts every single lunch. I want to stop having dessert every night. Pick one. You work on that one. And when you get good at it, then you go to the next one. But we start with just one, and then we're going to level up as time goes on. We're not going to overwhelm ourselves with saying, I got to stop this junk food. Start with, be specific about what habit that it is that you want to eliminate. Get really, really, really specific. That was weird. My thing just jumped on me. Anyway, get really, really specific on what it is that you want to do, and then work on that. So those are some different ways that we can work on building or breaking our bad habits. It's whenever you simplify it and you think about in the small version versus whenever we're being too big, we're thinking too much, we're thinking about all of the bad habits instead of just the smaller ones. It's really easy to break the smaller habits one at a time. But if we're still having a problem breaking our habits, our bad habits, sometimes it has to do more than with just the habit itself. It is something that is part of your identity, or it has to do with your belief system. And you need to work on those things, which are ingrained in you and a much deeper thing. But sometimes it's part of who we are. It's something that we believe to our core that we can't live without. Or we believe that we'll never be able to stop. Or we believe that it will be too hard. A lot of times our beliefs are what's in our way. It's not the actual physical habit. It's in our head. We're letting our beliefs guide us versus working through it. And it's all on a kind of subconscious level, which is, whew. So then we have to work on our identity and our beliefs and we're going to talk more about how to work on our identity and beliefs. We're going to do that next week. But today we're talking about the easy part, which is just the physical habits, because those are pretty easy. You can work on that you can remove it, you can avoid it, you can ignore it, you can work on your motivation to do the specific habit. Make it so it's so hard for you to do. So if you had to walk 3 miles uphill in the snow to do your bad habit, do you think you're going to do your bad habit when you make it 3 miles up the hill in the snow? Probably not. But yeah, so it's changing your motivation, because I'm not going to be very motivated to do that. I'm not going to be very motivated all the time to go, like, say pizza is my bad thing. I'm not going to be very motivated. If I have a rule that I don't allow delivery pizza, I'm not always going to be motivated to go out and get that pizza. So I can reduce my habit of having pizza all the time by not having any pizza. Change my ability. That changes my ability and my motivation, because it's not around, so I'm not as able to have the pizza, and I'm not as motivated to go get it. Increasing your money, increasing the time required in order to do it. Let's talk about the reward for a second, because the reward is very important. So every habit in the habit loop, there's a cue, there's a response, and then there's the reward, what you get out of it. Sometimes what you get out of it is avoiding doing something. So like, there's a cue to do your exercise. Your response is, I don't wanna. And your reward is, you didn't have to do it because you don't like it. That's a belief. You don't like exercise. We got to work on that belief. But with rewards, what I'm trying to get at here, and I got all sidetracked actually, is we change best by feeling good. When something feels good to us, when we get that reward, our brain fires off chemicals. We feel good. We want to continue with this habit. So if we have a bad habit and the cue, we do whatever, and then we get our reward, that can trigger another habit of, after I do this bad habit and I'm rewarded for doing it, that cues another habit where you go and you look in yourself in the mirror and you say bad things to yourself. And you start to think that you're worthless, or you could never get this. You're not good enough, and you beat yourself up. It doesn't change the fact that you were already rewarded for doing the habit. That reward has already happened. All you're doing now is beating yourself up. All you're doing now is making yourself feel bad. All you're doing now is crushing your self-esteem. You've already gotten the reward from the habit. Whenever I drink a milkshake, I see Steak and Shake, I get the milkshake, I drink the milkshake. My brain's happy as can be. 10 minutes later, When I'm telling myself, Deanna, you know you shouldn't have got that milkshake. You suck and you're just terrible. And you know what? You should put $5 in that jar and give it away to somebody else, blah, blah, blah. That's your punishment. Does it make you feel good? But it doesn't change the fact that you already got the reward. It doesn't work to punish yourself. It doesn't work. All it does is hurt you at your core. It hurts your confidence and it hurts your self-esteem. I do not believe in punishing yourself for doing a bad habit. Remove the cue to do it. Avoid it. Ignore it. Change your ability to do the habit. Change your motivation. But don't be hard on yourself. Don't be mean to yourself. Don't be cruel. Would you do that to your best friend? Would you do that to somebody you love? Then why are you doing it to yourself? Just don't do it. It's not the way to go. There's another way. Reach out to me. I'll help you if you need help with this. Seriously. Don't punish yourself. There's a better way out there. So anyway, that's the big thing on habits. I hope that it kind of helped. Again, reach out to me. I can always help you with habits. I love habits. Habits are the cornerstone of my life. I think they are like just amazing, amazing things that we can get rid of bad habits. We can, and we can build great, beautiful habits. They're going to support us in the great life that we are trying to live. So let's do that. So let's plan for the week ahead. Let's think about it. Think about a habit. What habit do you have that probably is going to come up this week that you would like to break? Okay. Now, are you thinking too big? That's the question. The next question is, are you thinking too big? Can you break it down into smaller chunks? Can you break it down into smaller chunks, whatever that bad habit is? So if your habit is that you always clean your plate, maybe you can say, I don't want to clean the habit I'm going to break this week is to not clean my plate at dinner time. We're not going to say breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We're just going to say at dinner time. Because maybe that's the meal where you tend to eat till you're stuffed versus just feel regular. And we could work on that one habit. So then we're going to think about, we got to eat dinner, so we can't really remove the cue to overeat. But what are some other ways that we can change our ability or our motivation to overeat? Some people do it by swapping out into smaller plates. So instead of, they just serving themselves left. Some people do it by tracking how much they're eating. They're weighing and they're measuring their foods. Everybody's different. How do we change this? Okay. That's all we got to do. So think about your week ahead. We're going to plan ahead for the week. Think about what habit you have and how can you change it? Can you change the cue, the reward? Can you change, your motivation, your ability? Which part can you change? And how are you going to implement it this week? We're just going to take a minute real quick. Think about that. Journal about it. Write it down. Ponder it.
Took some time, but we pointed out that tomorrow isn't here right now, baby. An absent mind came to roam around. Captured you in a foggy cloud, baby. Standing on my toes on the edge, I'm ready to go. See it clear when the shadows are lit, I'm ready to go. I'm taking matters into my own hands now. Let's face it, we only got this life to live out. So follow me, I'm ready to go. I'll take the lead, I'm ready to go. But when we fall, we get up and go, baby. The way they think is paradoxical. Captured you in a foggy cloud, baby. Standing on my toes on the edge, I'm ready to go. I see it clear in the shadows I lit, I'm ready to go. I'm taking matters into my own hands now. Let's face it, we only got this life to live out. So follow me, I'm ready to go. I'll take the lead, I'm ready to go. Ready to go.
Here we go. So I was trying to tell a story and then I was on mute because the dog's barking. When I was trying to track my calories all the time, I kept forgetting. And I know, how do you forget? So I had to kind of create a cue to remind me to track my calories. Handy dandy phone. That's normally where I look at social media, is on my phone. So the rule was that anytime I open my phone, there's like these little shortcuts on your phone. You can put little like shortcuts. It opens the calorie tracking app. And I can't look at social media until I've tracked my calories. So that's my reward. I get to look at social media because everybody says social media is just toxic. It gives you way too much feel-good chemicals. Tracking calories. I'd have days and days and days and days streaks long of tracking my calories because of that one little change that I implemented. One little small tiny change. I found the right cue and I found the right reward. And now my response is pretty consistent. I track my calories. So changing our habits is as simple as that. It's just working on that cue and that reward, changing our motivation, changing our ability, whatever it may be. You can win at breaking bad habits. I've broken bad habits that I thought that I would not be able to break. And I believe in you. And I know that you can do it too. So let me know how it goes this week. Let me know, what habit are you going to try and break? And how does it go? Anything, be patient with yourself. Don't think, it's like learning to walk or riding a bike or anything else. You're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days. So be patient. That's it for this week. Thank you all for being here. Stay curious, stay determined. And until next time, keep writing, keep exploring, and keep losing weight. I'll see you in the next one. As always, it's going to be a grand adventure. Oh, wait. There we go. Bye.
Come on, your body. Only settle for the best. Live your life with no regrets. Come move your body. Hey, come move your body.